You also must sign in. Each of you will be able to speak for 2 minutes on this matter. We will start an informal timer after you have stated your name and address. If time remains, people wish to, persons will be given an opportunity to speak a second time for 1 minute each. At no time will persons be allowed to speak a second time before everyone has had a chance to speak once. At no time will the board answer, interact, or discuss comments during the public hearing. If no one wishes to speak, or if people are finished speaking, I will ask for public comments 2 more times. If no one wishes to speak, we will make a motion to close the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to the issue?
Dave O'Brien, 762 Martin Avenue, Town of Hudson, Wisconsin.
Can you push the button and turn it on? Thank you.
Yes,
Turn
ma'am.
it on.
No. All right, right now.
Okay, sorry.
Dave O'Brien, 762 Martin Avenue, Town of Hudson, Wisconsin. Also president of Hudson Boosters. I'm in favor of rezoning the property to youth and recreational district. Today is a perfect example of why we need this. We have teams that are still trying to schedule weather makeup games because we have a challenge of having enough fields in the community to play games, much less to have the fields available for the requested practice time that we have. So I would urge you, please look at rezoning to youth-oriented recreation.
Scott Johnson, 903 Work Road. Also on the Hudson Booster Board and the softball commissioner. I am in support of rezoning. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
Hello, Eugene Hufford, I'm also on the board. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I had emailed yesterday on behalf because we were planning on attending to softball. We would be on the softball field, but they had canceled their game. So I'm here now to voice my support for the rezoning for the Hudson Boosters and any steps necessary to get the project completed. Thank you.
What was your name?
My address is 719 Windsor Boulevard.
Your name?
Eugene Hufford.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else want to speak? Anyone else wish to speak to rezoning? We're going once.
Non-residents are next, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We will now open it up to non-residents. Please come forward if you wish to speak.
Hello, thank you, Chairman Fowler and Town Board. I'm Tom Smith, City of Hudson, 927 3rd Street. I too am in favor of the rezoning. I'm a past president of the Boosters and still very active, even though my kids are long since through the program. And first of all, it's a beautiful 80-degree night, and here you guys are sitting serving the township, so thank you for that. And then as I walked in, I saw little T-ballers playing on this tiny little 30-foot base field that was scratched out of some open land. That is the work of the township and the Hudson Boosters trying to find a way for field space. When I moved to town in '99, there were 2 fields here. Then in 2009, the Boosters wrote a grant, and we got that most westerly field built. So now there are 4 out here. So again, the Boosters have worked really hard. The town has worked really hard, and I just can't thank you enough for your consideration of this exciting opportunity for us to get something really special on those 20 acres. Thank you.
Any other non-residents wish to speak? Or residents, I guess.
now. Yeah, the third time I've been up here, so I guess I would just say that as a booster member, a coach, a commissioner on the baseball side, I'm 100% for it and would like to see this thing get going as fast as I can. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing tonight? Going once? Going twice? Hearing no one else wishing to speak, we'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that ends the public hearing.
With that motion carried, here.
3-0. Okay, I will now call the regular meeting to order at 6:07 p.m. If you would remove your caps and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda, but not necessarily in this order?
I'll make that motion. I would like one thing pulled from the consent agenda and
We're
then.
not quite at consent, we're just approving the
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
agenda. So you made the motion?
I second.
There's a second from Ms. Lang. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. All right, now, on the consent agenda, Rachel, do you have an item you'd like to address separately?
Yeah, I would like to pull the St. Clair County Highway, July bill.
So you'd like to pull C?
Yes, please.
All right, let's talk about item C first.
I can see here that there was spot repair done on a Saturday, which cost by the county, which cost us time and a half. I don't think there's any pothole big enough unless we have one of those big collapses in the, on 94 that we have. I don't see any pothole big enough for time and a half in the county to work on a Saturday to fill a pothole.
As far as discussion, do you have a motion or are we just discussing?
We're discussing.
All right, so I received multiple complaints for a particular road. I contacted the highway. Because they were at the height of their season for other matters, they told me they wouldn't be able to get to it unless they did it on a Saturday. I proved that because, again, we had multiple complaints for this particular road. And it just wasn't going to get done in a timely fashion. And I didn't want to get more calls about it. So that's why I authorized him to do it. It's not something I take lightly. He did explain to me that it would be a time and a half. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was, between emails and calls, 3 people who really wanted to get this going. So.
Well, I respect that, but if you've ever driven down my road, I live off of Hudson, off of Sherman Lane and down Park Lane, especially when you go down around the cul-de-sac by the park, the roads are terrible. I would not personally ever want to pay time and a half to have those built. And not to mention, we have a limited, road repair budget, road budget. We just can't do it. It just has to get in line unless there's something really egregious that needs to be addressed immediately I don't think we should make this a practice.
And Mr. Chairman, we have, in the past that I can recall, never having St. Croix County come out on a Saturday unless it was something major, say like the freeway, something, whatever. So I understand people are complaining, but maybe we need to have a little discussion with St. Croix County as far as, I understand they have a schedule on how far out it would be. And people within our township are going to have to understand that, yes, this will get repaired, but there is going to be a time frame that we are not going to be in the practice here going forward to repairing something immediately on a Saturday just because they're complaining. So I would just like, going forward, unless it is something where somebody's gotten severe car damage, something major, that, I mean, the road blew up like on 94, you know, because of the heat, I don't feel comfortable authorizing overtime, time and a half on a Saturday for this kind of work. That's my opinion.
All right. Well, I mean, this document that we have in front of us doesn't show the exact date, so it's hard for me to, but I do remember this particular one pretty well. Again, my concern was making sure that people, that were complaining about the safety of the road, and was told it wasn't going to get done anytime soon. So I authorized it.
Did you need the date?
If you wouldn't mind.
It was between 5:25 and 6:07,
Okay.
because that's how they print their bills out.
So don't let them take advantage.
Well, I will say that I definitely deny plenty of road requests, especially on the one that was being under construction. And although we had lots of people complain about that one, it was going to be ground up in a matter of weeks, so there was definitely no service happening. So, again, I thought that was appropriate for the time being, so, but I understand your concerns, and we'll make it more of a priority for emergencies only on all that.
Yeah, and with the phone calls and, like you said, with St. Croix County being hovered many weeks out, if they give you any idea, then when the phone calls come in and say, hey, this is going to happen in X weeks, and that's, unless you want to pay out of your own pocket, this is what we have money for.
Understood.
I just don't want you to be taken advantage of.
No, I have to be honest, I think the highway department has been,
No, I mean, as someone complaining that they're gonna, your ear is gonna be hearing them, if they just keep
Well,
hollering, and that's
I feel
not.
that that's what I'm there for, so, but no, I feel that, I just wanted to say, I feel like highway is not themselves trying to take advantage
No,
of everything.
I'm not saying.
They've been super good to work with,
No, I'm
and
not
I'm
saying.
super pleased with what they've been doing for us. So, now that we've discussed that, do we have a motion to approve the rest of the entire consent agenda?
Are we going to address this, though? We should not be doing repairs on a Saturday or Sunday. I mean, if St. Croix County has to come out because we've had straight line lanes and cut up trees off the road or plowed off the road, that's one thing, but a pothole is not an emergency. And I would make a motion that we do not repair potholes on the weekends when we're paying time and a half. We have a budget for a reason, and we can't stay within that budget. I swear, if you drove down Park Lane or my road, you would think, oh my gosh. But we don't complain, you know, the town has limited resources, and, you know, it's not, if you live on that road, you learn, okay, well, I should swerve to the right a little bit. I'm not saying it's not going to get done, but it needs to be put on the list and then prioritized according to, you know, how big or how serious the problem is. I'm just looking out for the town here. That's all I'm trying to do.
All right, well, I don't hear a second. I've already had calls that are emergencies. We had a tree dangling over Trout Road.
A tree is different.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, if that happens on a Saturday, I'm not going to hesitate to approve that.
And we wouldn't ask you to.
And
We wouldn't
this
want
was,
you to.
my recollection, this was one of our major roads, not a side street. This was one that had multiple complaints, and it wasn't going to get done in a timely fashion. So I felt that this particular one was appropriate. If you're saying that for potholes, that we need to wait a month before we go to a meeting,
No, I'm saying maybe we need to talk to the county and reprioritize what comes first.
okay? 'Cause I understood the motion to be that for potholes on a weekend, repair, that we're not authorizing those in the future. That's what I understood.
No, unless they're egregious.
Okay?
And I also said that we should contact the county if they are that bad and maybe put them in front and reprioritize, you know, what potholes get built when. Because like I said, our road budget is not, roads are expensive. People don't realize how expensive roads are. And I'm just saying, can we please try to at least work with the county? If there is some egregious pothole, say, and you're well within your rights, to call up and say that you need to prioritize this one.
I believe what I heard Mr. Fowler say as well was that St. Croix County was not on the pothole lane of what they're doing right now. So they had to do it on a Saturday because what they're doing is not potholes at this time. So I believe that's what I heard.
I think as a chairman, you do all within your rights to say, can you take a couple hours and look at this pothole?
I will do better to get them to not work on Saturdays. How about that?
Thank you.
All right. So does your motion require a vote, or is it sufficient?
It was first and second.
Okay. So, again, what is your motion? Does the clerk have a motion?
What I wrote down was motion to approve motion to not pay for potholes on time and a half on weekends unless they are egregious and to prioritize St. Croix County.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. All right, now, can we approve the rest of the consent agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? The only discussion I want to add is we do have an operator's license application over there, so just want to make sure you saw that. Any other discussion?
Is it a liquor license? No, it's not.
Operator's license.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
All right, so we have a motion that's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the rest of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right, we're going to jump around a little bit on the agenda. I know we've got some folks very interested in some of the items here, so we are going to go a little bit out of order. I would like to take up number 7 on the agenda. Discussion action on rezoning booster property on Highway 12 from ag res to youth-oriented recreational. I believe in your book, you have the rezoning application, memorandum from SEH. And my recollection of having been at the booster, actually at the planning commission, they recommended unanimously to, or almost unanimously to rezone the property. So, do we We have a motion. Well, I'll make a motion that we rezone the Booster property on Highway 12 from ag res to youth-oriented recreational. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I believe we zoned everything from Strawbrook over to, what was it, Hermes? As ag res / youth oriented. So does that exclude these properties then now?
You mean Badlands?
Badlands, yeah, what did I say?
You said.
Strawbrook, I have potholes on my mind. And Strawbrook comes to my mind for potholes.
So according to your zoning, each one stays in ag res until they request to move to youth oriented.
Okay, I will second the motion.
All right, and like I said, there is a proper rezoning application in our packet that was
I
received.
second.
I moved.
I second.
Okay.
There was a proper rezoning application that was received on June 2nd, 2025, and this did have a recommendation from the planning commission to do so. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Blank,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes,
and the third.
it passes 3-0. So congratulations, your property is now rezoned. Public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment on anything that is not on the agenda? It's your opportunity to address the board. Please state your name and your address.
Bud Schaefer, 506 Country View. Longtime resident, first time town board meeting, but I've been to lots of other meetings after 37 years of municipal government, so I appreciate your time on such a wonderful evening. But it would be nice for non-regular people to the meeting if you guys had nameplates and how you are serving the township, so that we know who you are and maybe who are not watching online. Thank you.
And use your microphones.
Or get microphones at work.
Any other public comment? All right, hearing none. Chairman's report. I think most of everything I want to cover is already covered by other items in the agenda. So there was no fire committee, and Dan's not here for the other committees, so I don't really think there's a whole lot to report since the last meeting. So again, I'm going to go a little out of order because some things might make more sense if they were taken out of order. There's item 17, discussion action on IT estimate for chairman's phone data extraction. I'd like to take that one up. All right. If I can give a little bit of background to the board. So the town obviously says it should be a cell phone to use for town business, and that is the preferred method to use is the town phone. Unfortunately, the town phone is quite dated. I think it's an iPhone 6.
It's a 13.
I don't know, it doesn't
I
have.
have the original paperwork that we purchased.
Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt. So here's the point. It doesn't have data. It doesn't have functions to remove text messages. We had a data request, an open records request, to have records from my phone. There was no way to print a screen. There was no way to print to a printer. There was no way to take a photo of it with the phone, which the more modern phones versions definitely have. There's no data plan, so I couldn't email it to anybody. And so literally the only solution at the time was to ask our IT person to extract it, which is this estimate. This is just an estimate. It was not paid. So what I ended up doing is a pretty low-tech solution of taking a picture of it with another phone. That is not a good way to 17 as well from the board.
You're saying it's an iPhone 13?
He doesn't have a data plan or,
Why don't we decide a data plan?
It does have data.
well,
She has,
it's not activated on my phone.
I have a 11 and it does all those things. So I don't understand why yours went out.
I don't know either, but I contacted
It's
the
an
team.
iPhone 13 mini, 128 gigabyte.
Maybe we need to add more data?
No, the gigabytes is storage.
And then, mobile internet unlimited, text messages unlimited.
When you talked with them,
22 gigabytes data and it SMHS, according to the bill.
when you talked to IT, did they suggest that you get a new phone to,
So that was one of the options.
well, the phone is at number 24. We're just talking about this estimate.
Right. And
Right.
The reason I'm taking these two out of order is because they are related.
I guess my question is, okay, for this estimate, if you had a newer phone, you wouldn't have to use this estimate?
Correct.
Okay, that's where I'm going.
So ultimately, I don't think we need any further discussion on or action on 17. It did not end up needing to be used. Also, that process would have taken 2 weeks according to Tim. And we had a data request that was due before that, so that's not a feasible way to go about that. All right, moving on from 17, 24.
Wait a minute, I'm still on the phone. What was the decision on this now?
There was
Are you asking for a new phone? Is that what you're asking?
That's a little later item there. Yep. I didn't put 17 on the agenda.
Okay, I'm asking for clarification.
So 17 was, if we had to do it, it would have been a big expense. I guess is the point, but. All right. Let's take up number 24. Again, my only reasoning in doing this, adding this to the agenda is, if we have data on the plan, it certainly is turned on the phone. Okay? That's something that I'm not sure how to do that myself. I've always just had it readily available. If we can get data, it's possible that we will be able to transfer text messages more readily. I need to talk with Mr. Whiteside and see if that's solvable by the data or if we need to update the phone. Again, there was no, how you click your iPhone and take a picture of your screen. That was not an option. Texting it to somebody was not an option. Emailing it was not an option. It really presented a quandary because it's frankly out of date.
Well, you can hold down and hit copy and then send it to whoever.
Trust me, that did not work.
How does that not work?
It just was not a menu item that was available. I mean, I know how to work iPhones. I have one of the most recent ones. And, the screenshot, you can hit AirPrint, there's all kinds of things you can do normally. There's none of those options for us.
Is something in your phone back there?
No.
Have you taken it to a chief store and asked them to look at it?
Well, I can't really do that and authorize an expense without discussing with the board, can I?
There's no sense for them to look at it. Oh, I mean, I've done that before.
is that T-Mobile would possibly take what there is and take it in on a trade, do an upgrade. I mean, they're very reasonable about that, so I would look into an upgrade to see what an upgrade, I can't see that an upgrade is gonna be that much.
Well, we need to get a quote on that.
Right.
But it has a data plan, so at least if I have why it's not using it.
Yeah, I would have the phone checked first. I would take it to T-Mobile. Did
if it's okay.
I would make a motion for you to take it to T-Mobile, see what's wrong with it, and get an upgrade if needed.
I will second the motion. Any further discussion?
Just a moment, it is a government plan, so you can't order a phone from T-Mobile. It has to go through the government account.
It's a government account. So I need to,
You have to work on it, if you can't order your phone.
I can, because I'm on your government account, but we need a code so the board approves any additional cost.
Correct, but you can still take it to T-Mobile, see what's going on.
Yeah, he should take it to T-Mobile,
Right,
and look at it, it's not working.
and they would say, this is not going to do, this will or will not do the job that you're asking it to, and then from that point on, tell him what he should order, and then
Right.
give you the authority to
Yep.
order the new phone.
I'll just walk in and buy it on a credit card, that's what I did
Okay.
last time.
But
But as long as the amount's approved by you guys, I can do that.
I would make the motion to allow the chairman to go in, have it checked out, see what's wrong with it, and if it's not going to do the job that he needs it to do, then by all means, we need to upgrade it. So that's my motion.
I've seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Number 8, discussion action on solar farms in St. Clair County. Ms. Lang, I believe this was your.
Absolutely, there's a lot of concern. I've had a lot of constituents contact me about solar farms being put up. Over in Minnesota, Excel is closing a plant, I believe, 12 years earlier than they were supposed to. And now, or a coal plant, but now they are looking heavily at St. Clair and Polk counties to put in huge solar farms. So I would like to look into what we can do to protect the residents, because they clearly do not want huge solar farms on their farmland. Not to mention, these big companies that are coming in and renting the space from farmers are getting huge government subsidies. I mean, just like enormous than what they would get as per if they were to just be renting it out to, say, another farmer, or for some other reason, or even selling it to a developer. I know there's federal things going on right now that's trying to stop those subsidies, but the other part of that is they're not maintaining them. They're not getting rid of them. They're not updating them. When they're outdated and everything's broken, the company's not coming in and cleaning up their mess. They're leaving it up to the farmer that owns the land. So I'm wanting to look into if there's anything that we can do as a township. I do not believe St. Clair County has anything at this moment. I don't know if it's guided by state statute or, but I think we need to try to, it's been made clear by the constituents, they do not want mass solar farms in our township, or really in St. Clair County, period.
I agree with you, Rachel, but if you can find something that we can do, because like you said, St. Clair County, right now, they're having a tough time. There's a few things that they're willing to try, but I don't know that that's even going to work. So yes, if with your inside track, if you hear anything, that'd be wonderful.
My only thought is that if we, you said, what can we do? Obviously we'd have to get a legal opinion from our attorney and something like that, which I'm not sure that that's going to be well more than the $3,000 we spent on the pothole weekend at attorney time. So, there's some expense here, what you're asking.
I'm not really asking for anything expensive right now. I'm just saying we need to talk about it as a board. And maybe we could all do our own independent research I know Vicky is great with state statutes, and so is Teresa, she knows them inside and out. If there's anything they can find that could help protect our residents, they don't want them here. So I just believe it's something that we need to start thinking about and talking about. Not to mention we live in Wisconsin, so really, how many months out of the year are you really gonna have solar power? It can account for like 33% of our energy needs. So, it's a discussion we need to start having, is all I'm looking for right now.
Ms. Rachel, are you thinking of possibly having something on every other month's agenda just to discuss if anybody's come up with anything so that it doesn't get put under the table and forgotten about? If we have a reoccurring item that we discuss, I don't care if it's every other month,
Every 3 months maybe?
something like that, just so that this is hot on our minds and we don't let it just fall by the wayside, because it is very important. And St. Croix County is having a tough time coming up with ideas how to stop this solar takeover.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any extensions that you use to find out legalities, or if we could ask Vicki or Teresa to look into state statutes to see if there's anything that we can do.
Well, I think one of the things that will help is when we actually go to the county board, our meetings are changing, so that we can watch and see what they're doing. Because my understanding is, despite the massive objection from the folks on the Hammond, the county board is not going to be able to stop that project.
Yeah, that's my understanding too.
And that's because there's state law and federal law all around.
And that's what I'm asking, if maybe Vicki could look into the state laws and tell us what they are, so we know at least what we're up against.
And you should know that the town of Aaron Prairie just put out a resolution to, when they stop anything from happening for a year, moratorium. They did a moratorium recently to stop solar farms in that town.
You know, this sounds to me like we actually should talk to our town association and find out what they might have, like a canned memo or something that we prepared. I think, you know, if you certainly, you're on the board, you can reach out to the Wisconsin Town Association and see if they have proposed language such as that or, you know, resources. I think that would be a good start. Can we start with that?
We could, but I'm having major surgery on Thursday, so I don't know when I'll be able to do it. I'll be in cast for 10 weeks, so, I don't want to wait that long. Is somebody else willing to reach out to WTA?
And reach out to something else, so I'll be around doing that.
You would mind doing that for us?
Oh, that's fine.
It would be much appreciated,
No problem.
much appreciated.
So maybe you want this back on the agenda.
Should we say
2 months?
September?
3 months, September?
Okay, then September will be our first Wednesday meeting, I believe. We're starting in September, will be a Wednesday.
Very good. All right, I would like to take up number 25, remove from the table, discussion action on setting deputy clerk salary pursuant to Wisconsin statute 6037. We have I would move that we remove it from the table so that we can discuss. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. So for discussion, oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor of taking it off the table, signify by saying aye. 3-0 passes. All right. As far as discussion goes, you know, we made a pretty major change the last special meeting we had that town hall. We haven't set the exact hours, but our town hall is going to be open more days. We've set the clerk's hours at 40 hours, and so I think that having a full-time clerk and a deputy clerk in a non-election year is not simple math. We had 3 days a week by the clerk and 2 days a week by the deputy clerk. Now we have 5 days a week from the clerk, or at least full-time equivalent, and with no election for the remainder of 2025, I would move that we set the authorized hours for the deputy clerk to 0 for the remainder of 2025, except for filling vacancies, absences, and vacations. Is there a second?
I'm not willing to do that yet. I think we need to let the office staff, maybe work with the office staff.
We can't discuss that a second under the process.
Okay.
When you say 0,
If you second the motion, you can discuss it.
okay, I'll second it just because I want to discuss it.
All right. So, what would you like to say?
I would not feel comfortable with the time going to 0 except for covering for days off and or someone's sick. Until we have an established, we have not decided on what days and how long the hours, except for saying that 40 hours, which would include meetings for our clerk. I would be willing to cut the deputy clerk from the 2 days a week, which is currently, down to 1 day, and see how that goes. And if we have to cut it more, we can cut it more. But just to drop down to 0, I do not feel comfortable with that until we get this figured out on the hours and the days that our town hall is actually going to be open and how it's going to be covered.
So we have on today's agenda, we do have an item to set the exact hours for town hall. But I think here's what I'm hearing from the citizens, and that is we have admittedly fairly expensive clerk now that's working 5 days a week, and that's what the board authorized and voted on unanimously. And so my question is, if we were getting 3 days out of the clerk and 2 days out of the deputy clerk, why wouldn't we pass on that savings to our taxpayers? And in addition, I asked Ms. Shaw before she left on vacation, is there any duties that Ms. Johnson is doing that you can't do? And her answer was no. Because if you're the deputy clerk, you need to be trained on all the items that the clerk does. And as we heard from our treasurer, that reported approximately 9 visitors a week during a 2-week period that they were keeping track, I can't justify to the taxpayer why we need to have 16 hours as current in addition to the 40 that we have. So in other words, we'd be getting the equivalent of 7 days of work when currently we have 5. So if 5 works currently, why wouldn't we keep 5? And there's nothing that Ms. Shaw can't do. The traffic is light at town hall, and it is just, I would rather argue about whether or not we need to fill a pothole on the weekend or have a second mowing of weeds than spend this money needlessly. This is a chance for our town to recognize some savings. This is a fiscally responsible and conservative idea. We just don't need 2-3 people on Mondays and Tuesdays to perform the work. I think Ms. Johnson does a great job when she's here, obviously. I'm not saying she's not. But other than a fill-in, what does she bring to the table that Ms. Shaw can't do. And this is something that the taxpayers have been very adamant about and not happy with the board. So I would ask you to do some soul searching on what is best for our community.
I have a few comments. First of all, I'd like to set the record straight, and the constituents do not have all the facts about Vicki's salary. There's also in there a benefit buyout. She worked for 20 years with no health insurance and no benefits, except maybe vacation. And in order to get her back, because we had such a hard time finding a qualified clerk, we interviewed, we were here 3 or 4 days a week, almost all summer, or whenever it was. They don't know that also includes her health insurance and her benefits package. Okay, that was never relayed to the public in any way, shape, or form. The board was made to look like it makes a haphazard decision, and we're just throwing money around, you know, making it rain, and we're not. Not to mention, she's been here about 24 years, and she gets 2% a year or CPI, whichever is higher. 1 year it was 6%. 8%. So the way the board has taken the beating that it's taken without the public having all the facts and us not basically being under a gag order, because we're not supposed to talk about anything on future agendas. I say we wait for this neutral wage study to come out. I think the other thing is the board was under the impression that she is working 40 hours a week. She works 3 from the office, she works 2 from home. The board was under the impression, now maybe we question after the last closed session, but we were under the impression that she was working 40 hours a week. So I am tired of being made to look like a villain. I actually had somebody contact my employer. How they found out who I work for, I have no idea, because I never tell anybody. But I would say we table this item until there's until there's a full board here to talk about this, discuss this, and make a decision. Because cutting Teresa is a big deal. She's an asset to this town.
We're not talking about our clerk's salary at this point.
I know we're not.
And I do believe that it is time to talk about our deputy clerk as far as the time and what we are spending. Last year, I know it was an election year, but we went $5,000 over budget. So we're not staying even within our budget for the use of our deputy clerk. And I'm not going to point fingers, but that could be watched a lot closer. And the 1 year in 2023, it was a nearly 9.4% increase on that wage. So, but these are all things that we can look at with the next contract or not contract with our clerk. So this does not happen to us again where we have that huge of a jump. But being that there is not an election, I can see the value with making some cuts as long as we are having our clerk here more days and she can do the job and doesn't need the assistance of the deputy clerk for that job. The deputy clerk is very valuable. When Vicki needs her, she needs her. Definitely during elections, but I am not hearing that from here till the end of the year is unless I hear differently, I don't hear the value except for vacations and filming. Is that what you're putting forward?
That is precisely what I am going to do.
I am saying that there are 2 other important elected officials on this who are not here today, and I think we should table this until we can all talk about it together. Because I'm not prepared.
Every single board member had the agenda and has the opportunity to be here. We have this on the agenda, we have a quorum, we just approved a major rezoning with the same amount of people.
We basically resolved that a long time ago, you know.
I'm just saying, we have a quorum. There's been a motion and a second. And I think that the taxpayer deserves some relief because there is no reason to have 3 people in the office on a Monday, 3 people in the office on a Tuesday, and then have the clerk work the remainder of a 40-hour week when she says that she can do every bit of the job in a non-election year. To put this in dollars and cents, we're at the halfway mark of the year. We have $39,000 roughly budgeted for the deputy clerk. That's a potential savings of $20,000 that can be put to things like roads, weed control, other things that directly benefit our citizens, and I am 100% in favor. And not only that, like I said, there's been a huge discussion about this issue. And I can't agree more with one particular resident. And they said it better than I can, so I'm going to find it real quick here.
Ms. Rachel, I am going to, unfortunately, I'm going to buck up against tabling this because we have had 3 very important votes that we've been missing one of our members. And there is that they could be on through the internet if it was, I mean, there are circumstances, but I'm not willing to wait because I'm not happy that 3 votes have been missed. 3 different votes, very important votes, that yes, things happen in life, but you can get online. You could, if you had to. You really could. And you and I are here. So I am not willing to table this.
I think we need to really do a study on what Vicki does everything.
Oh,
I don't think it's fair to just say, Teresa, see ya, if Vicki gets sick, we'll call you. I don't think that's fair. I think Vicki deserves to be part of this conversation as well. How many towns have deputy clerks that work down?
Not every single one, by the way. So
Or
there are
city
plenty of towns that
administrators
do not
or-
utilize a deputy clerk at all.
I think Vicki Shaw deserves to weigh in on this and what exactly she needs help with.
The deputy clerk is hired by the clerk.
Yes.
However,
That's what I am saying.
Yeah, we don't.
well, one person talking at a time.
The clerk has full authority to hire whomever she wants as a deputy clerk. That is her choice and her choice only.
And is in charge of determining the deputy's job duties and work assignments and hours.
That is not true. That is not true. By statute, the town board sets the terms and conditions of employment and the funds. And I verified that with our town's attorney. That is a fact.
In the WTA, they said it has to be an agreement between the town board and the clerk to do that.
By statute, it is the town board that sets the hours, conditions, and wages. And again, I've confirmed that in writing with our attorney. That is incorrect. Now, I want to read a common sense comment from a member of the public. Now that she, the clerk, is full-time, why does she need an assistant clerk at $39,000 plus a year? And she has a treasurer too. And I can't tell you that I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. And that's just, we're here for the people who pay the taxes, and I just don't see any added value to putting an additional 2 days worth of salary into this equation when we have now increased our clerk's hours to 5 days a week. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'm not saying that her hours couldn't be cut. I'm saying it's unfair to say without I think it's only fair to bring Vicky into this discussion.
We have an opportunity to save our taxpayers money that can be spent to better things. I don't mind that my decision is made up in my mind, but I am going to vote yes to this motion. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Megan,
No.
Fowler,
Aye.
Blank.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1.
That's correct.
Well,
You said 3-1.
we're sorry, 2-1. 2-1. Only two people voted yes. All right. Now, jumping back to item 9, discussion action on website access policy. All right, in your books, I did not add this to the agenda. This is rules for the government town board. And it says, the clerk and deputy clerk will have access to place content on the website. The town board can direct items to be placed on the website at any time. I went ahead and contacted our web service provider and asked if I could have access to the website. They said, of course you can, town chair. So, I think that in any organization, a redundancy and capability is a good thing. It is not a bad thing. I can certainly learn how to put things on the website. I'm not suggesting I will post minutes, but if we have, for example, Gilbert Road is under construction, I want to put that header out there. It seems like an easy thing for me to do, especially if now that we have one clerk for the remainder of the year, if that person is gone, it's good to have a backup so that one person doesn't become so indispensable to the organization. So because of that, I would like to make a motion that we amend Rule 28, use of town website, to state that the clerk and deputy clerk and town chair will have access to place content on the website. Do I have a second?
That's second.
Can you really do that without noticing that?
I'm sorry?
You did not notice it as town rules.
It says discussion access on website access policy. You provided this as a policy, so that's what we're talking
This is
about.
the rules, it's not the policy, there's a difference. So go ahead.
I think it's directly germane. Your objection is noted, but it's clearly noticed. So, any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I think everyone said he was improvements. I brought it up before. So I think it would be good to have a second person to help Vicky keep up.
The other thing, just so you know, and the public knows, I run 3 websites. I still have 3 websites. I'm fairly skilled at this, and so I think that I could be an asset to have another set of eyes on it. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Number 10, discussion action on dog licensing information on the website. Susan.
Okay, it has come to our attention that a lot of our township residents don't understand or don't realize that if you have a dog, it is a Wisconsin state statute that you must have your dogs licensed. But it is also up to every town to check on this. It is our treasurer. She has to know that these dogs are licensed. Her herself can get in trouble when they're not. So therefore, we are putting this on the website, and it will state as follows. All dogs must be licensed. Wisconsin law requires all dogs over 5 months old to be licensed through their local municipality or authority. An owner of a dog more than 5 months of age on January 1st of any year or 5 months of age within the licensed year must obtain a license. Again, this is Wisconsin state statute. This license must be renewed on an annual basis or within 30 days of acquiring a new dog. Licensing requires proof of vaccination from a licensed vet. This license must be renewed on a yearly basis. The license year commences on January 1st through December 31st of that current year. The deadline for registration is January 31st. Citations will go out the first week following the registration deadline for every unlicensed dog. We are not attacking our residents. We are just letting you know what the state law is, and we're trying to help our treasurer here. So with this, I would make a motion that the wording as read would be put on our website for our residents to see, and as well in the month of January and December, I would also like to have a rotating notice at the top of the page to remind people, just like when taxes are due, to help give you a little reminder of what needs to be done. Thank you.
I second that motion. Any further discussion?
I would like to thank Chris for helping me write this. I appreciate it, so I didn't get so worried.
No problem. It's pretty easy, wasn't it?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion by blank, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Did you vote, Susan?
Aye.
3-0. Number 11, discussion action on updated routes for Turkey Trot special event. In your book on tab 11, looks like there's a new proposed route. If I'm not mistaken, we've already approved the special event, but we did not have this route approved.
This route's not in town.
So what do we need to do if they're not coming to our town?
Wow, there's nothing to do, it's not in town, you can't take it.
All right. Are they doing two routes though? Are they doing one, or is it just this new one?
This is it.
Okay, very good. I don't think we need any further action unless there's other discussion. All right. 11 is done. Discussion action on 2024 financial audit. Just to update the board. Today, I got the PDF with the corrections for some fairly obvious math mistakes where numbers were subtracted or added instead of the proper. Anyways, they sent us an updated PDF today, correct audit. They will get us bound copies later. And so I know that I've turned mine in and Susan's turned hers in, but we got to turn in the old audit. So just, we'll be turning those in and we'll get corrected copies. One item of discussion though, I have to say I was not super thrilled with kind of the not so important attitude that we got from them, that I got from them. When I said, hey, can you correct these by the meeting on July 1st? First, our main rep was on vacation. And when she got back, well, there's a person who actually does that underneath me, and they're on vacation. I said, well, can I just get it? It's like simple math errors here, just correct it. Like, these errors shouldn't happen. And anyways, so after being told it would take a couple weeks, I got them to move it up to today. But, you know, I don't want to have to threaten to go out to bid for, you know, to get somebody to do things, but it's almost what it came down to. It's like, I was just not impressed with the lack of urgency, I guess, from our vendor. Moving on.
You have to approve it.
Oh, yes.
You don't have a motion to
Yeah.
approve this audit yet.
I move that we approve the audit as corrected from the PDF submitted today, July 1st.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. I'm sorry.
Motion carries 3-0. Number 13, discussion action on using townwide Hey 3-Week 1-1 system for report a road problem button on the town website. Sorry, I stuttered there a little bit. So at the last meeting, I had asked if we could implement a button on the website that says report a road problem or a road issue. The county has such a thing already. And we voted to approve it, but then we're now told that there's some cost involved with that. So when I went to our web vendor and asked, what, can this be done? They said, yes, you can do it, but you have to put a widget, which is like a little, mini application that runs on the website, and it can be done, but it will cost $1,200 annually. So, because there's a cost now, this makes sense to discuss. I do think that, for example, Ms. Lang, if we had good record keeping that will be built into this system for keeping track of potholes, trees down, things like that, that we will have an accurate record keeping system that we can then forward to the county highway department. It can be tracked. And so, maybe we'd have 4 or 5 complaints on, a pothole that is a major problem. So I guess the real question is, we can do it, but it's going to cost $1,200 a year. Does the board want to spend that money or not?
I'm kind of torn, because I think it would be nice to have. But they email us now if there's a problem. I get emails all the time that I would forward to the chair. And
You have the contact button already on the website. Right across the top, it says contact, you go right there and send an email.
yeah,
The $1,200 a year, is that an annual year or whatever? So, what I'm trying to say is, does that start January or whenever you start the system?
I don't have an exact answer to you, but my assumption would be for 1 year's use.
Okay,
It starts when you start.
starts when you start, okay. I have not seen how this system works, but if it would keep track better as far as the dates, and if there was collectively complaints on one particular address, do you have any idea how that works?
I can tell you how it works right now. It's not very well. The way it works right now is, even though they can email their board members, I would say I've probably gotten 2 emails about potholes and 35 calls. That's probably an exaggeration of 35, but that's kind of the ratio. So people will call me, and then I don't have a record necessarily of that. I can write down their address and things, but the nice thing about using this system would be I could immediately forward it to the highway department. Say, we've received this complaint, put it on your list. We've received another complaint, it's going to get higher priority. That kind of thing, so that maybe we don't get into the situation that we discussed earlier in the meeting, which is, what seems urgent or not, we have a better way to track it. Like I said, I know the county uses it. I did provide a copy a couple meetings ago of what that looks like in terms of the email. I can only tell you that for me personally, it would be immensely helpful. The saying goes, why put it in a phone call when you can do it in an email? Or why call a meeting when you do it in an email? It's just so simple that, we could put that right in the middle of the website, and we could put it multiple places too. We could put it near my contact info, so that it can be sent to, from the contact page too. So,
I like to complicate things, because I like girls. Is there also a possibility of, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Okay, I understand with road construction, there's certain times of the year that the potholes are done, and that we could have something somewhere to say, okay, this is when we're going to be addressing potholes during X month, this month, to possibly put a fire under somebody that say, hey, I better report this now because this is when they're
guess I like the idea too, of maybe this not be reported road issue or road problem. Because again, it wouldn't be just limited to potholes. If there's something that we don't know about, culverts collapsing or curbs falling apart, I don't know. Just, it'd be nice to be able to keep track of problems in the roads in our town with the documents. There is one other alternative we could try first. We could just write text that says, please email me the link, in the same spot where my contact is. I'd be happy to try that for a while. But I'm just, really encouraging people to make it easy for them to report a problem. Make it easy for us to have the documents. That's
What if, your experience with web design, what if we could just put a button on there, you said we have contact us, but what if we put a button on there that said report a road problem, or to report a road problem, please email the clerk, and the clerk could just keep a log, and then once a month, or, whatever, we could take a look at it and prioritize.
As long as it went to the clerk.
We keep a log right now.
But as long as I love your idea of report a problem, the contact there, but I would ask that it gets reported to two places, the clerk and the chairman. I would like it to be back to back, so they both know what's going on. That way, in some crazy email that only went to one or the other, hey, we've already got this. We've both been addressed on this situation on Badlands Road.
Yeah, I'm just trying to save the time, I know he's busy, so I'm trying to save the time. Once a week, he could just check into the office and say what we got for what's on the log. Anything, and she could fill in. Or email.
Yeah, as long as like an email, an automatic.
A copy of the log.
Yeah, I would prefer to get an email because then I can contact that way rather than stopping it once a week. I just want to be responsive to people that are reporting, taking the time to report a problem. I want to be responsible enough to say, let's talk to highway right away, or just forward it to them. It's instantaneous.
Well, Teresa said they're going to keep a log.
Because the county highway has requested that. They do not want to hear from us every day.
Okay.
Because they're not going to come out here every day to fill one or two potholes. They want to come out here one time and fill 10. It saves you a lot more money because they're coming from bulk. So if you're going to pay for them individually, it will cost you a lot of money. So they asked us to keep a log, and then she turns it into them periodically. I don't know exactly what time it is on it, but she turns it into them. And then they come out and do that. And that's the way it's always been done. If you want to change it, you sure can, but I know they don't want to hear from us every day.
I don't think that's what we're trying to say. Honestly, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
What I love the law, but what I'm trying to say is what the chairman is suggesting, that we put something on the website that would be report a problem, whatever, but that when they do report it, it goes to 2 emails. I suggest that it goes to 2 emails. It automatically goes to our clerk, as well as it goes to our chairman. So it's an easy access for the customer, our town residents. And because it goes to Vicki, our clerk, she will make a log.
The only thing is, sending it to the 2 email addresses, that's what creates the need for the widget. You see what I'm saying? So
you're back at 1,200.
Yeah.
I think if we say to report a road problem, please contact the clerk. She logs them, she sends them whatever timeline you require. If you want it daily, every 3 days, once a week, once every 2 weeks. There's no point in you being bothered every time there's a problem.
And I'm happy to get an email. I'm happy to take calls. It's just, I want to be able to respond with a record of getting the call and just making
But
sure.
if there already is a record, she's already keeping a log. She could just share that information
except for right now, people just call me. Like half the time or more, people are just calling me. And it's like, you don't have that instantaneous record.
So what would the difference be then if you had added the widget button?
Well, I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't try it out where we say, to report a road problem, contact, one email, and then we do kind of like you're suggesting, all right, whoever it is that gets that immediately forwards it to me, or if I get it, I forward it to Vicki, and vice versa, rather than spending $1,200. If this doesn't work, then I think we should spend the $1,200.
I say for ease, please contact your clerk, and then you guys stay in touch. That way there's no confusion about whose responsibility it is to keep that log, and you have access to it whenever you need it.
All right, I think we discussed this pretty good, but I would like to make a motion then, since we made a motion previously that we're kind of altering, I think we need to make a motion, and I do make a motion, to put on the website a text that says, report a road problem, with a link to Ms. Shaw's email, and then we make the policy that those emails will be shared with the chairman, and any that I receive on the same topic will be shared with Ms. Shaw. Do I have a second?
I'll second. And Ms. Shaw will be the record keeper for St. Clair County as well.
The only thing I'm concerned about is if they're sending them to both of you, there's going to be double up and there's going to be overlap. So, I mean, it almost seems like a waste of effort. If they all just went to Vicki and then you guys communicated and she shared them with you like once a week or however often you want them, maybe every day.
I don't want them every day.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, but I mean, it might be a duplication of efforts, is all I'm saying.
Sure.
In order to streamline,
Sure.
have them go to one place, have them log, and then you two share information.
Sounds good.
And you
Teresa,
determine
did you
that
get my
time.
motion down okay?
Right? That's not what it says.
All right. Do you want to read it back so we know exactly what?
Motion to put on the website a text that says report a road problem with an email to the clerk, and that goes to the chairman, and he gives a shared with Ms. Shaw.
Okay, so the first part of that was correct. Up until, so it goes to the clerk. The clerk shall then share that email with the town chairman. And if the town chairman receives an email on a road problem, he will share it with the clerk. That was what I think my motion was. And do we have we had seconds already, is that right?
Susan.
All right. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, the motion carries 3-0. Number 14. Discussion and action on National Night Out Community Event at Town Hall, August 5th, 2025. I'll be honest, I just threw this out there as I would like to do something as a community, for the town of Hudson. This may be too short of a time frame to put this together, but I think especially with, a lot of change, a lot of things that have gone on, it'd be nice to have a community event. And if it can't be on National Night Out, I just wanted to get the discussion going on what we might be able to do. Yes, Ms. Carter?
Well, the only issues we have with boosters, boosters has priority here, and their fall ball is August 4th or October 5th.
Okay.
So we have a contract with them for 2037 that they have priority on the fields, which obviously takes up the parking.
Right.
So I'm not sure where we would be able to hold an event.
Well, and again, I think the main reason I wanted to bring this up is I just would like to get the discussion going amongst the board. Every community has some sort of event. We don't really have one. And I think it'd be nice to start. So I'm fine with, I kind of figured August 5th was going to be too fast to do this. But I just wanted to get the idea going on what we could do to have some sort of town event. And we'd have to notice it as a meeting, of course, not a local meeting, but I talked to the county's food inspector. Nothing prohibiting us from grilling hot dogs, doing burgers, if we're not charging for it. So I've already talked to county inspector on that. I just would like to do something. It's a little bit of a community get-together. I think it'd be nice. Hot dogs and burgers are cheap, and it'd be nice for the community to get together. So I'm okay with
Little potluck, maybe?
potluck would be great. Something. And I just kind of like your idea of let's talk more about the solar farm. I want to keep talking about whatever this could look like maybe for next year. But it'd be nice to have something that instead of being at a contentious meeting, we can get together and do something else.
You said they have a contract with the Boosters till 2037?
So they
Sorry.
already,
They're probably going to have the fields on the national night out here on out. Maybe we pick a different day.
Right.
I mean, it's for the whole week.
Yeah, maybe we pick a date before they even start. So I'm sure we could find a date next year that would work. Where we can have a little barbecue and the community get together. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I just want to get the discussion going now. So
Yeah, I love that idea.
I don't know that we need any action, so if you're okay, I'd like to move on to skip 15 and move to 16. Discussion and action on adding stop signs in the intersection of Daly Road and McCutcheon Road. To give a little background, I was here throwing some furniture that was left on the road in the dumpster, and one of our residents came up to me and asked if I could take a look at an intersection because it's blocked by trees. And so I did, and it is at the intersection there of Daly Road and McCutcheon. So to give you an idea, there is a stop sign going eastbound on McCutcheon, but there's no controlled stop sign going north on Daly, nor is there a stop sign going west on McCutcheon. So I guess I would propose that we make that a three-way controlled stop intersection. When I was there, I did notice that it's almost impossible to see Daly from McCutcheon.
So I live there, and we brought this up before, and the people that live there don't want the two or three-way stop sign. Everybody kind of knows how it works. The problem is that big bush on the corner. It's in the right of way. And she's been asked to trim it back before because kids wait there for the bus, and the bus can't see the kids, and the kids can't see the bus. So I think it needs to be addressed with the resident that lives there you've seen it. It's a huge bush and it impedes your view.
It looks like there's vegetation that goes outside of the right of way too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's outside of the right of way. It needs to be cut back.
Right. But it seemed to me like there was trees all throughout that kind of northeast corner on Daly and McCutcheon. And then again, this was a resident who lives in the area who was concerned because there was an accident there recently, and it seemed to me if they had one stop sign, what's the inconvenience of having a three-way stop for safety? So I'm open to suggestions other than that, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. I think it is a problem, so I'm open to solutions.
I'm not opposed to having a second stop sign, but that bush needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, it is, it's within our right to trim back on the right of way.
Well, I have to pull out there every time, and you have to inch forward, and you just have to hold on what's down because you can't see. So that should be addressed.
But the resident I would notify the resident and just say, this is in the right of way and we will be trimming it back.
Thank you for doing that, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it's just, I don't have a problem sending a letter or talking to our zoning enforcement, because we've had to do that recently, person. But I do know that coming to a complete stop is safe. If you have to come to a complete stop, that gives you time to look. And so I'm wondering if a stop sign still isn't the safest solution there.
It still doesn't protect the kids waiting for the bus.
I would suggest that
We do both.
we do both.
Yeah. And I think there should be a stop sign on McCutcheon because there's already one on, is that still McCutcheon? on both sides of McCutcheon. That way, the traffic coming from Daly Road has the right of way if they make a right or left. And if you're coming either way from McCutcheon, then you would have a stop sign.
So, I think, do you think it makes sense for me to talk to our highway department and kind of get their opinion on this, and maybe have one more meeting on this?
Yeah, I don't think we need a three-way. I think a stop signs, we already have one on McCutcheon coming towards the town hall. If we had one from on McCutcheon and Daly going away from the town hall, then you're safe. Because then coming down Daly Road, you have the right of way. And both sides of McCutcheon will have to yields. Maybe even a yield sign, I don't know. But at Lowe's, I've received so many complaints about it, and I said, you know what? This is literally my neighbor, I'm not gonna start a bush down over a tree. So I will prefer that somebody else.
And when you talk for St. Croix County, if we do the stop sign, since it would be a new stop sign, I would suggest to put the reflective tape on the post because it is a new stop sign.
All right, I think I've got instructions here. I don't know that we necessarily need a motion. If we do put in a stop sign, I will put it on the agenda again. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right. Number 15, discussion action on establishing ATV, UTV routes in the town. I did have several people email me to ask to put this on the agenda for discussion. Is anybody here for the ATV issue? All right, sir, why don't you come on up?
Gerald Markel, 508 Country Road. I've been with the ATV club for 17 years or whatever. And it's one of the only areas around that is not open, and it's mostly just to be able to visit neighbors, visit friends, go to the gas station, is what we're looking for.
Mr. Chairman, we have been down this road before as far as the ATVs. And from what I get from my fellow members is we're not against ATVs on our roads. However, they cannot and will not ever be able to cross Highway 12, County Road 8. So where does that lead? You have a state Highway 12, which you cannot cross. The state is not going to let you use and do that. And County Road 8, you're not going to be able to use.
County Road N, County Road 2U.
So if it's amongst in your development that you live in, nobody says anything. Nobody, but we're not going to post something like that because, like I said, there's certain roads in this township, unfortunately, you cannot cross with an ATV.
And so this 597 River Road, are those state highways you're talking about, or those county roads you're talking about?
State Highway 12, County Road 8, right up here. And I believe N, you're not going to be able to use, that's County Road. That's County Road.
Those are county roads, and you can cross the state.
You cannot cross on Highway 12.
You can maybe not cross Highway 12, but in county roads you can cross. Any township I've ever seen, you can do those roads.
Have you been to North Hudson?
Yes,
And you're crossing there.
you can cross in there.
I don't believe that's legal. It's not legal, but they're doing it.
They're doing it.
That's right, that's my point.
And for road crossing, we would like to be able to get out to the next county, and we're trying to do that in Troy Township too. I live on Troy We don't want to have every road in the county to be able to go on, but it would be nice to be able to take the back roads as much as we could. If we have to cross a county road, we would like to have permission to do that. State highways, I can understand that. And if we have to make a road to get to the gas station or something like that along the side of the Highway 12 or something like that, we do that with our snowmobiles every year. And it's possible that that can be done, but we'd all like to be out driving down the road rather than sitting here, I'm sure. But
Well, again, with the Highway 12, that's a county road. So we cannot authorize, we're not going to authorize anyone to cross Highway 12. That's a county road. We cannot.
That's
The state, actually, the state highway, thank you. Yes, there's,
we understand that. We can do it all over the state. We have county roads that we've gone north and
great, but unfortunately, I hear you. I mean, I had land up north, and that's, use the old railroad. And there was plenty of roads up there to ride on, and it's wonderful. But unfortunately, unless my fellow board members can come up with some, whatever, the way our township, the way our property is, it just isn't feasible. It's not feasible.
we have, in Menominee, we have the whole city being able to work on it. I wish we could work with you people to figure out a way that we could make at least a couple roads through the township that would work for everybody, And I think it would improve the quality of life here also, instead of having to run around your house and bothering people and running down the road like maniacs and hurry up back so they don't get caught by the cops or something like that. We could work with you to be able to work something out. And that's all we're asking for. We're not asking for the whole,
Well, part of the reason why I wanted to put this on the agenda was in response to multiple emails I received. And I think that we're not going to solve this tonight, that's for sure, because we still have at least 8 items on our agenda to go. But I think that starting this discussion and maybe talking with our county highway folks to get some recommendations would be a good start. So I think that what we'll do is we'll continue to track this and bring it up again when we get a little more information. But I didn't want to ignore you folks that were asking for to be heard. And I think that the discussion can continue.
yes. I've got our president here from our ATV club, and our president would like to have a little talk. You good?
Let's tell you what, why don't we do this? I'm not going anywhere after the meeting. I'd be happy to talk to them another time. We literally do have 8 items or so left on our agenda.
I understand.
So we can maybe discuss afterwards, give you all my contact information, and at least we can keep the discussion going in a later time. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
I would just like to say I am for opening up the Hudson Town roads for ATV using routes. Especially for UTVs, they've got seatbelts, they've got roll bars, they can go 60 some miles an hour. It's just, I don't see the problem. If they decide to cross the road illegally, that's not the town's fault. That's on them. But I am for research.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
And we'll keep the discussion going, and we'll probably have it on the agenda again, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Very much. Do that.
Number 18, discussion on action fire inspections for Subi surges, 632 Rocky Drive.
Can I get history on that?
Yes, please.
So,
One moment, I want to correct her, I'm with the State ATV Association also. I'll leave my card so you can contact me for questions. I'm the president of the local club out of Woodville. You can cross any controlled intersection on the state highway.
on any controlled
Any
intersection.
controlled intersection on the state highway.
Okay,
So, or town highway,
thanks. Thank you.
for everybody.
Yep, here.
There's my card, reach out to me before you discuss this
Doesn't
again.
that have to be a four-way?
Doesn't have to be a four-way. Well, yeah, it'd be a four-way, you got it straight across.
Right, so rules that are not a four-way.
Folks, honestly, we do have to move on to our business.
We sat here and waited and waited for our turn. Give us 2 minutes. The 2 minutes you said you can't.
Clearly written as far as the state highways, you're everywhere else in the city. Refer to that prior to the next meeting. It's well written in that statute.
Sure. And again, I promise everybody here, we'll put this on the agenda again, maybe even have a workshop. We will keep this discussion going. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so I'm just.
You should start with the planning commission.
That you could definitely bring it to the planning commission and get it on their agenda. But I want to continue the discussion, it's just, we're getting close to 8 o'clock on this. All right, discussion action on fire inspections. Ms. Carter, you had some updates.
Okay, so this is not the first time this has happened, they did the same thing last year.
Okay.
They're on their 4th reinspection. So my understanding is they can be shut down. But we have to authorize that. And on top of it, they don't pay the bills for the re-inspections.
What is SUPI service? I've never heard of it.
They are on track and drive, they deal with Subarus.
Car repair.
Yeah, car repair. Yeah. So last year they had 4 inspections. And this year they're on their 4th re-inspection. They do not pass. So you can talk to Mike Baruka, because it's up to us if we can shut them down until they get themselves up to fire code.
What do they mean?
I don't have the details. Is it even on their bill over here? No, they didn't include it.
I didn't do it.
Mike Baruka has what they're missing.
Can we get, maybe put that on next month's agenda?
I don't know if they want to wait.
Your problem is they're operating a business.
They're operating a business without, they're not in
And
compliance
now
with
that you
fire.
know, and now that you know about it, if something happens there,
Yeah.
So,
The second re-inspection is not a big deal, but we're at 4.
So who pays for those re-inspections?
they're supposed to.
We get billed $100 from the fire department. I bill SUPI surgeons $60. That was the deal that was made last year between the town and the fire department. So I'm currently sitting on 4 bills totaling $240. And last year, I had them down to taxes because they didn't pay. Because anyone who's owed to the town, outstanding, can go on to
did
taxes.
they ultimately pass their inspection after the 4th time last year?
Last year, yeah.
Oh, is there-
Otherwise, they probably would have been.
So did they fail their 4th or they're doing?
They passed it for it.
Not this,
No, last year.
last year.
So,
Right now, they're still not in compliance.
but they had their 4th inspection
Correct.
and they failed their 4th.
Correct.
Last year they passed their 4th.
5 of them.
All right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, fellow board members?
Well, I think that shut down a business, but if they're not complying with fire code, that's a pretty serious, that's a really serious issue.
I mean, they could have a big enough fire, it's
I mean,
right to the neighbors. I mean, we're close enough to other businesses in the business park over there.
Why I'd be curious as to what it is that they're just not being non-compliant with. Is it just fire extinguishers? Is it?
I don't know.
It could be anything, but I see the ones, the liquor licenses, they have to pass the fire inspection. It could be something as simple as their fire extinguishers are out of, use, their fire extinguishers haven't been recharged. They may have oil or things where it doesn't belong, it's too close to something that's electrical. There's all kinds of reasons, but you get someone who's failed 4 times. And now, where's the liability for the town coming on this if something happens?
I don't see where we have choice. They put us in a really bad position.
I'm a little apprehensive not knowing the details.
Yeah, I am as well.
I would call Mike Baruka, and he's more teacher, he does a lot of the inspections.
I don't know what difference it makes. The
they getting their fifth inspection?
I don't, they get 30 days. They get a letter from the fire department and they're allotted, I think it's 30 days. I don't get involved in that, I just get the bills.
But we don't have to wait 30 days.
No, but
we
we
can
were thinking, could we contact them and say, if you don't pass your fifth inspection, we will shut you down?
That's what you need to tell Mike has to.
He has to have that.
Yeah,
Well, right, but Mike ultimately has to do it.
I like that better. It gives a time deadline.
Yeah. What do you need to do?
So you could write that in there as well, is that the bill must be paid upfront, what they owe,
It's
and
actually 3 invoices total.
right, and the inspection must pass, or we will be shut down immediately.
Is that a motion?
I would take it down, so you know,
Hold on.
say it in.
So if I understand the two of you together, we see if I can piece one together. I move that this Subi Surgeons at 632 Rocky Drive must pass their fifth and final fire inspection no later than 30 days from today's date. If they do not pass, their business will be shut down effective immediately.
As well as that bill has to be paid.
As well as the bill for all 5 inspections paid by that 30 days.
So the 30 days starts from what you see here, not from today.
Yes, so was the date of that inspection?
6/20.
Yeah, so July 20th would be their 5th inspection.
Yep,
It's only the first, they have plenty of time to fix what's wrong.
yep, I agree.
I would second that
And it's
motion.
not a surprise, this is something they have to do every year, so I'm not sure why it takes 5
And I
inspections.
think by you sending that letter, they're gonna know that we're serious and not let this happen again next year.
Well, this is gonna be from Mike.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
That's what the town is voting on.
yes.
So we have a second, right? Okay. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries 3-0. Discussion 19, discussion action on special event permit for Pitchfork Brewing, Pitchfork Fall Festival. In your books, dated June 23rd, 2025.
Looks like they've got everything together. Did you guys notice anything missing? They've got their.
No, Mike's done this before, Mike's.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the special event permit for Pitchfork Fall Festival at 745 Ryan Drive.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, none, motion carries 3-0. Number 20, discussion and action on setting exact hours for town hall. I've given this a lot of thought since the last time we were together. What I really would like to see happen is, because we do have a lot of people that work across the river in Minnesota, I would like to have one day a week where town hall stays open till 6 p.m. So that somebody who works across the river doesn't have to take time off to come to town hall. So if you've got a pen and paper, here's the proposed schedule that I think we should have open. Monday, 9 to 4, same as it is now. Tuesday, 9 to 6 p.m. Wednesday, 9 to 4 p.m.
7 meeting days.
Our meeting days, we're switching to Wednesdays.
Correct. We will be switching that, but we're only talking about the office hours right now.
And this is for the clerk.
Correct. Correct. Where did I leave off? Thursday, 9 to 4. Friday, 9 to 1 p.m. By my math, that's 38 hours. That leaves plenty of time for two-hour meetings to still be within the 40 hours for the clerk. But if we had town hall open those hours, we can serve the community by, being open until 6 p.m. on the Tuesdays. And Thursday and Friday, that will be new hours. And open to other suggestions.
Well, I was just thinking, would it be easier to do Wednesdays 9 to 6 since the meeting to be here anyway because she's got the meeting? And and do 9 to 4 on Tuesday.
That sounds fine to me.
I mean, would that make sense? Because she's got to be here for the Wednesday night meeting anyway.
Right.
That would be my suggestion as well.
Sounds good.
So Wednesday, 9 to 6?
Yeah, and then do Tuesday 9 to 4, because you got to be here for the 6, and of course then she'll be here if there's an earlier public hearing or special exception hearing or something like that.
Well, we should have her start later then, because really the meetings go till like 8 o'clock.
Well, we're talking about the office hours, so honestly, if Chris can open up,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
I'm tired.
we're talking about
4 to 8, 10 to 8.
office hours here, so I think
That's true.
it's,
And I think this also gives us enough cushion with the clerk's hours. Like I said, this only totals 38, right? So if we only typically have one meeting a month, but if we have a special meeting, that could be 2. And that gives us plenty of cushion to have, if we have a long meeting. So
So how many hours is this total on this set?
this would total 38 hours of office time being open a week.
And what about the hours that we work now from 8 to 4:30?
I'm sorry, 8 to 4:30?
That's what we.
Yeah, we work 8 to 4:30.
So does she, every day?
Yeah, well, she's actually here at 7.
This is the 9 to 4 that's posted on the door, gives us an opportunity to be able to work before and after people come in. You're not taking any of that into consideration, and when it comes to the times when we do absentee voting, that's going to be difficult, very, very difficult. Maybe there has to be more, we're going to do celebrations of the election season. Yeah, and she's working Saturdays and Sundays during elections.
Yep.
So that 6 weeks prior to an election, you're working weekends because you're required to get the absentee ballots out. Just throwing it out there.
she's not able to work on the absentee ballots during the work week.
Yeah, but she's also required, if it's not only one comes in on Saturday, it has to be out by 24 hours. So that means Sunday, it has to be, at least in a mailbox to go out on Monday.
And Friday has to be out on Saturday.
Yep,
Well,
that's state law.
I think the nice thing about the 38 hours is that it gives 2 hours times 52 weeks a year to come up with that extra cushion. Considering most meeting nights, both months will have one meeting, sometimes we might have 2. This gives a cushion that's built in. So that's why I didn't go right to 40 hours.
So what do you do about elections where she's working an 18-hour day?
She would have to have you back for
Doesn't matter, she has to be here the entire day from 6 a.m. until the last ballot is counted, that's the law.
Well, you're certified too, aren't you?
For that, she has to
So I think what you're suggesting, Ms. Rachel, is that during elections, then even though the office is open these hours, that she would have the deputy clerk work the office hours to open up and give her hours.
No,
to
I was
work on
thinking of
elections.
things splitting hours, because I'm certified in elections as well, but
Doesn't matter, the clerk, period.
Your deputy clerk motion did not allow for that.
Not for this year.
It didn't say this year.
It was for the remainder of 2025.
Right.
Okay?
It was for the remainder of 2025.
Correct.
well, we would have to, since we would have to figure out how to compensate her.
Well, what do we do now? Like, doesn't she have to do that now?
Yeah, we do that now.
She's here.
She does it all the time.
She helps. I come in on days off and don't get paid and help with in-person absentee voting. I don't get any extra money for that. I don't.
All right, then I say we need to, first of all, start paying you comp time.
Well, we don't do content here.
Well, we need to figure out some sort of compensation system.
But the clerk absolutely has to be here. She's here at 5:30 in the morning until we lock up. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 8 or 8:30. Depends on how the election goes.
Well, I guess my point though is, that happens now anyway. By changing these hours, that's not going to matter, is it?
Of course it is, because you're requiring her, you're saying that these are going to be the hours of the town hall, and she has to cover it.
But
That doesn't mean the
Not
clerk
during
has to.
elections.
During elections, she would be allowed to hire on her own deputy clerk that could cover hours in the office.
I say we close the office during elections.
Well, I'll tell you what, hold up.
You can't
Monday the 14th.
Monday the 14th.
Here's my motion. I move that starting July 14th, town hall hours will be as follows. Monday, 9 to 4, Tuesday, 9 to 4, Wednesday, 9 to 6 p.m., Thursday, 9 to 4 p.m., Friday, 9 to 1 p.m., until the remainder of 2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second. I just, we'll need to figure out how to compensate these ladies for elections.
I think it's really disruptive for you to make a motion like this on the day she gets back.
She would be working that Wednesday, or that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, anyway.
I think it's disruptive for you to do this to her on the week she gets back. How do you know she doesn't have other appointments already scheduled? I just think this is not being very considerate and respectful.
Maybe we start this like August 1st. or
Fine.
something.
I would take a friendly amendment to start August 1st.
Yeah, I would make an amendment that we start this August 1st.
All right. Any further discussion on this motion? All right. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Blake?
Yes.
May?
Aye.
Fowler?
Yes. Number 21, update on bids for wage study. So this is just an update, not expecting any action or anything. I did right away contact our Wisconsin Towns Association and ask for a list of providers that they might have to do a wage study. They said they do not have any. And so my next email is out to the Wisconsin Municipalities Association. If that doesn't come back, we're going to have to go into Minnesota for these providers. I will tell you, and again, you can believe me or not believe me, if we use a Minnesota provider, we're going to pay for the nose. And so just be prepared for some very high bids, because I know who they are, and they are not cheap.
Teresa, bids have to be $25,000 or more. What's underneath the bid?
Request for proposals.
Request for proposals. Yeah, so we need a request for a proposal, not a bid.
Loose terminology. I
But yeah, I'm just trying
Yeah, but
to,
there's very distinctive different rules for those two.
Sure. But for purposes of finding a list of, all I wanted to do is update you on who I've even found that is these providers in Wisconsin. And so far, that's my update. Any questions?
If you put out an RFP, you don't have to look for anybody. They come to you.
who?
If you put out an RFP, you don't have to look for anybody. They come to you.
What is an RFP?
Request for
Request for
proposal.
proposals.
Okay. Instead, okay.
But I guess I would like to know, do we have qualified folks? Because I just know this from my profession, that they exist in Minnesota. Several railroad companies.
We would have to have a special meeting or closed session to discuss this,
Sure.
you know.
Okay. That's all I have. Number 22, discussion action on composition of hiring committee.
I would like to table that one to let him have that.
Agreed.
Motion?
Yeah, Rachel makes a motion to table to the next meeting, I second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0 motion passes. Number 23 is something I asked to be, it's frustrating to me to not be able to get that TV plug in, a USB cord, and show my computer or a document reviewer. Last meeting, I tried to set it up, and lo and behold, the HDMI cord didn't work. We didn't have the document, and that would have been helpful for our closed session. And so I'm asking for authorization for me to contact Tim Whiteside and make sure that this TV system has the ability to show documents and plug into my computer at every meeting without fail, no excuses, period. I'm very frustrated to not be able to show documents to members of the audience.
Well, would we want that for all computers? To be compatible with all computers?
How many is an HDMI cord long enough to work?
Ms. Johnson, I will report to you that I, out of my own money, bought a 14-foot the HDMI cord, and it didn't work. It was brand new. And I know that there are internal switches on the inside that have to be turned on. I'm asking I will make a motion to have the chair authorized to contact Tim Whiteside to make sure that we have these TVs working and that I am educated on how to do that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Look at that. We are down to communications and items for future agendas.
And we got solar panels and ATV UTVs.
Yes, we'll definitely put ATV back on there. Solar panel, we will vote to do September 1. I did send the clerk an email on 2 items. I do want to address ordinance 76-2 to maintain our recordings permanently. That was my fault. I did not communicate that well with Ms. Shaw. But that one is one that I want on there. I would also like to actually see if it's possible if we get a zoning inspector to come to the next meeting. They have some questions and would like to have him do a little presentation on his updates.
Something else I would like to discuss is meat production, whether it be having St. Croix County spray or mow, because like percussion is getting really bad.
So we're not taking action on it. I have talked to that was the second issue was I wanted to have potentially a second a third no, excuse me.
Did you like clarification? Yeah.
Gotcha. Anyway, so that's one thing already. The weed control, Ms. Gardner gave me an updated contact provider. There's some weeds that can only be sprayed at certain times. So we can definitely put those 2 on the agenda for sure.
I would like to set on the agenda, just for, discussion and possible action. That agenda item should be in at least, I would say, 4 days, 5 days before the meeting. Because it's not fair if we come here, our books, and we do our homework and we study, and then we come here and we have a pile of stuff we have to read, and we're kind of blindsided by things that we didn't know we were going to be talking about. So, I just think that's important.
Well, I will say it has to be there a week ahead of time.
A week ahead of time? Okay.
Well, the agenda was published on the Wednesday after our special meeting.
Okay, but I'm asking that we don't add anything new to the agenda after that period.
So we didn't add anything new. We did add some documents that came in. So there was nothing new added to the agenda this last time. We didn't get the audit, for example, until so it was either that or move it to August.
I understand that situation, that's fair.
Anybody else want to go home?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to use the restrooms there from town staff, and I interject.
What would you like to add?
The concession building roof is leaking.
Into the concession area.
That one did not get replaced, as that's a different roof, and the other 2 like this. So that needs to be looked at, and we need to get.
Just on that.
Okay, that's good.
Then the other thing I wanted to bring up to you that you should know about is that you are closing down Truckload Road to redo that bridge.
That's a 26, isn't it?
I know, but I'm bringing this up to you because the prior chair asked me to check on it, is that you have a ton, and I mean a ton, of dead ash on that road and trees that are starting to impact that roadway. And I received a quote that I won't say the company or what it is, but to take it out to the right of way from Bear Drive to the town line, you're looking at somewhere between 200 and 250,000.
Oh, dear.
And that's if you close the road. If the road is not closed, it will be a lot more.
it's definitely, at some point, we need to put that on the agenda for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you have to start doing long-range planning. I mean, you've got a playground at the end of its life.
And whatever we have the money set aside for that.
Well, part of it. Because it's over 200 for the new playground, we got about 100 in. Yeah, the park. If we do the roof, then it's probably come on the park. On the concession building.
What are we doing with the old playground equipment? I know
You
that
have to recycle it because you can't keep it.
Can it be sold?
No.
It's in such good shape.
Well,
It's probably not as good shape as you think.
Better than what we have in our HOA. Because I was thinking maybe we could buy it for our HOA.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we're getting a little off
Yeah,
the topic of,
Well, there's one out, she says, I won't be here this year, you might want to figure out.
Susan, do you have a motion?
Let's adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those, I second it, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3-0.
It's so funny, I had these questions so bad.